for taking your Friday. Recording is in progress. Thank you so much for taking your Friday. I know it's kind of a late afternoon meeting, so thanks for being here. My name is Leah Lord, and I am a program manager with the Georgia Environmental Finance Authority. And today we're going to talk about the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant Program. Today we're just going to go through the program again, a little bit of the program design. We're going to answer some of the frequently asked questions we've been receiving, and then walk through the application. And our technical assistants will also be on the line, so they're going to talk a little about, again, their menu services, and some programs they're working on with different communities. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so what you're here for is the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant. This was allocated to states and communities through the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, so bill. And the purpose of these funds are to invest in infrastructure designed to modernize and upgrade American infrastructure, enhance competitiveness, drive creation of good paying jobs, tackle the climate crisis, and ensure stronger access to economic, environmental, and other benefits for disadvantaged communities. So GEFA is the lead distributor for the state funds. Outside. Sorry.
We can't hear you anymore.
Sorry, got that. So along with that, funding has also been provided to cities and counties directly through DOE. So bigger.
Okay, why can't I hear her on my ear? I mean, it says my ear pods are connected, and I keep hearing them click, but
other people hear me?
her. Yeah.
Okay. That might be on your end. I think other people can hear me. Back to this though.
Okay, so a lot of people are saying I can't hear.
Oh, can they not? Miracle, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can hear you. It looks like everybody else can hear you. If everybody could just mute their microphone, just the duration of the presentation until we get to questions and answers. But it looks like everybody else can hear you, Leah. So
okay, awesome.
You're good to go.
Take them
And
out
also, whoever is host can mute other people if you need to, please.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Oh.
Okay.
Sorry.
Back to this. So the funds from GEFA will be focused on the communities that did not receive the direct funding from the DOE. So there's a list of communities that have received direct funding, and it's some bigger communities like Savannah, DeKalb, some other cities and communities. I don't want to run through them right now because it's quite a few for Georgia, but along with that, we will be meeting the Justice 40 requirements, which is allocating funds to disadvantaged communities. And then the state allocation that GEFA received was around $2.9 million. So just some generic federal funding requirements. We've got BABA, which is funding to use American-made products. We've got the Davis-Bacon Wage Act, which is all contractors are paid prevailing wages. The NEPA, which is also on a case-by-case basis, but that is consideration of environmental impacts, and then historic preservation. By pursuing these blueprints, though, we have tried to make it so some of these requirements might not apply. And when you see later on, once you select which blueprint you're interested in, like some of these requirements might not apply at all. So some might not require equipment, some might not require contractors, things like that. So just keep that in mind. Don't get scared by this slide. This is just kind of a overall federal requirement page. So to get into the GEFA design, we are providing grant amounts up to $150,000, and there is no cost match required for the community. Communities eligible to apply will select a blueprint that they're interested in and pursue an eligible activity. So under each blueprint, there are a number of activities that are included, and we'll go through some of those later on. Blueprints are DOE model projects and programs designed to help local and tribal governments achieve high impact results with limited grant dollars. So these are very step-by-step provided by DOE. So like I said, a lot of it tries to break down the barriers of requirements, try to provide you with as much assistance and steps as they can. And the blueprint options that GIFA has selected to pursue are energy planning, energy efficiency, which includes energy audits and building upgrades, energy savings performance contracts, community solar, solarized campaign, electric vehicles and fleet electrification, and then workforce development. And again, we're going to get more into the details on these, list some key activities, but those are the 7 main blueprints that a community can decide to pursue. Okay, so along with the program design, GIFA has decided to meet that Justice 40 requirement, we've decided to kind of split the funding into 2 sources. So we're doing a prioritized communities application and then a general state application. So we partnered with SEA, so Southeast Energy Alliance, and they helped us create a map to kind of pick these communities, kind of see where higher energy burdens are. They based it on a variety of factors and metrics. So that included energy burden, socio-demographic and workforce indicators. All of these communities within the priority communities are falling within the Justice 40 Census Tract. So that was provided by the White House and DOE as well. So both applications will be a competitive application process. The application is currently open, and this is a new change. We did extend the deadline to close on March 15th. So it was at the beginning of March, and we decided to extend it just based on a lot of questions we've received, and just want to give you guys as much time as you can to develop like a full application. So the application link, along with that, our application documents and templates are available on our website and on the application homepage, which I'll show you when we go through it. So there are templates, there's the webinar recording, there's an application guidance document, which goes through the application as well as going through each blueprint and giving a very descriptive key activity list. So I highly recommend reviewing those before you start your application. And then a quick note, when you go into the QuickBase application page, which is where you'll submit your application, it's going to ask you to edit the form, and edits made in the form can't be saved. So that's why we've provided these templates so you can look through, see the narrative questions, work through them for a little, and then copy and paste into the application when you're ready. And then along with that, I really want to emphasize our technical assistance partnership. So GIFA's partnered with the nonprofit South Base, and Nathan's on the line as well. And South Base will provide free technical assistance to those interested in applying. They can assist with your application, program design, blueprint selection and support, and we'll go through the menu of other services later. Okay, just to reiterate, this is the list of prioritized communities. So both the county and municipalities, cities, towns, anything that falls between, falls within these counties, we're considering prioritized. And again, this was selected just on a few different metrics. A lot of these communities are smaller, but they have a lot of energy burden. They are identified as Justice 40 and a variety of other factors. So this will be posted, the slides and the webinar will be posted on our website as well. Okay, so this is where I'm going to go into an overview of the blueprints and going to kind of discuss some of the key activities that can be included in this funding. So for the first one, the blueprint is energy planning, and some key activities listed under that are stakeholder engagement. So this could be using the funds to onboard some supporting staff, which includes consultants or project managers, You could use the funds to collect energy data and establish a baseline. And then along with that, you could use this funding to develop your energy goals and then write, adopt, and publicize the plan. So that could include anything from website creation, hiring someone to help write, a lot of a lot of examples there. Okay. And then blueprint number 2A, that's energy efficiency and energy audits. So this could go towards building energy audit assessments, so gathering the data, benchmarking, as well as the energy audit itself. So that also includes hiring the energy auditor and all that data that comes with that. And then building upgrades, which will be based on the audit. So this can determine whether a building is a candidate for rehab. This could allow on-site renewables, so solar can be included in that, resiliency projects, electrification, and grid interactivity. So there's a lot of upgrades. So just for example, if you've already have a building in mind and maybe you've already conducted an audit, you could use the funding to provide the upgrades, or vice versa. You could use the funding for the audit, and then whatever's left over can go towards the upgrades. Okay, moving on, we've got blueprint 2B, and that's energy savings performance contracts. So this is energy efficiency and electrification in government buildings specifically. So you could use the funding to explore potential financing options, procurement of the energy savings performance contract, and then legal support along with that. So solicitation and selection of an ESCO. And then along with that, project implementation, and then post-project measurements and verifications. And again, this is not the entirety of all the key activities. These are just some that I thought really stood out and would be beneficial for some of these communities and Georgia as a whole. So moving on, we've got blueprint number 3B, which is community solar. So you could use the funding for stakeholder engagement, education, and outreach. This could include outreach with utilities and confirming regulatory allowances and kind of permitting along with that as well. So then you could do site assessment, procurement, so legal, technical support, and then installation of the solar panels, which could include rooftop or ground mounted. And then we've got blueprint 3C, solarized campaign. So funding could be used to design the solarized campaign, stakeholder engagement, including education and outreach, procurement of a solar installer or developer, technical support, legal support through the RFP process. And then once that program's implemented, program education, outreach, advertising. And I just want to mention that on today, we've got some good solar resources. So if you have any questions, this would be a great time at the end of the PowerPoint to ask those questions if you're interested in solar. And then our last two include blueprint 4A, which is electric vehicle and fleet electrification. So this one has a lot of key activities that can be included. So we've got development of fleet replacement plans, so stakeholder engagement, fleet assessments, technician training for your EV fleets. We've got site planning and preliminary assessments, so identifying locations for charging, evaluating different charging options, and then cost estimating. And then we've got utility data sharing agreements, development of charging plans, procurement, so legal, technical support to purchase these EVs. And then along with that, you could use the funding to run some different estimates. So vehicle cost estimate, budget assessments and estimates, zoning, compliance, permitting. And then lastly, you can use the funding to install charging infrastructure. And then our last blueprint option is blueprint 6, which is workforce development. So this includes workforce needs assessments and identifying labor force gaps within your communities, program design and curriculum development. So if you have a labor force that maybe was focused on, I'll just throw out coal. I know that's not a really relatable thing, but if you had coal and you want to transition to solar, like that could assist with creating a pipeline for those workers and kind of getting them more involved in the clean energy sector and transitioning those skills into new jobs. And then we've got stakeholder engagement, convening clean energy employers, providing training, educational systems, and then ensuring that once these people get the training that they're matched with energy employers. And then as well, you can use the funding to pay training and trainers, which includes wraparound services. So I know that was a lot of information, but again, this is just a smidge of what these activities cover. And I really recommend going through the application guidance, because within the application guidance that we provided, each of these even has a further breakdown and more detail and more description. And I just think it's such a good resource. Okay, so this is where we're going to go over our frequently asked questions that we've been receiving. They've kind of been broken down into a few different groups. So the first one is eligibility. So any local government or a unit of government / public authority recognized under the state constitution is eligible to apply. So this includes cities, counties, municipalities, towns, school districts, and any type of public authority. So we've received questions about developmental authorities, and those would fall under eligible. They would be eligible, sorry. And then if you are not a priority community, can you still apply for this funding? Yes, like I said, there's going to be two different there's a set number of awards for the priority communities, and then there's a set number of awards for the general communities. Again, we were just trying to meet that Justice 40 requirement and take it a step further, just to ensure that some of these communities that don't necessarily receive the federal funding as often as some communities in Georgia do, are also able to submit an application and have kind of a fair grading. So that was our logic there. And then for Blueprint 2A, energy efficiency and energy audits, who's eligible for that? So what kind of buildings? So energy audits and or building upgrades can be made to government buildings or commercial buildings. Commercial buildings, though, are going to be limited to schools, libraries, correctional institutions, and community centers. So let's move on to questions around funding. So grant sizes, communities can apply up to $150,000. You don't necessarily have to if you think that your blueprint chosen might not cost that much, but it's just up to your discretion. There's no minimum amount that you need to apply for, and there again is no community cost match required. So the funding cannot be used for reimbursement of a previous project, though. We've been receiving some questions that kind of are like, if we apply and we've already made these upgrades, can we use the funding? And that is actually not allowed. Okay, so communities will receive the funds in the forms of reimbursements. However, a recipient does not need to provide upfront payments. Recipients can bill upon receipt of an invoice, and then GFA will pay that recipient, and then the recipient will pay that vendor. So we're trying to make sure that it kind of cuts down on the amount of time, and you don't have to be worried about maybe not making the payment to the vendor, and we're going to work around some options there. And then, can you fund multiple projects with this grant? Yes, you can pursue multiple key activities under a blueprint. So if you were interested, like I said, in doing the audit and then making some upgrades, that is fully allowable. And then you can also fund multiple blueprint projects if you have funding remaining. So the only caveat with that is, because it's two different blueprints, there will most likely be two different reportings that are needed. So measuring of multiple metrics, which can get like a little complicated. So I would recommend applying for one blueprint and then pursuing multiple activities under that blueprint. I think that's probably the most straightforward path. But again, if you have something in mind and you see that a blueprint covers multiple blueprints cover your project idea, we are willing to work with you and figure out what kind of reporting and metrics are needed for that. And then applying for multiple projects does not give you an advantage, though, in the application process. And I just want to put that out there. Like, if you just see yourself interested in one activity versus another community is interested in applying for 5 or 6, I don't know, just throwing some numbers out there, it doesn't give them a 1-up in the application process. And then, can you use outside funding aside from the EECBG funding? And the answer is yes. If your community has money to put towards the grant, that is allowable. We ask, though, if it is a separate federal funding pot of money, please delineate what each federal source will fund. So, for example, if you're retrofitting a building and have 2 different federal sources that you want to utilize, make sure that you maybe note in your application, or just note later on down the line if you plan to do this, that we would like to see you say the EECBG funding is going towards this pot or this part of the project, and this other federal source is going towards this. We just want to make sure that it's not double dipping kind of, and you're using the funds in two different ways that benefit your community. And then our last FAQ is application. So in the application, which you'll see later, we do request that you provide your UEI. And the UEI is a unique identifier used by the federal government to track entities applying for grants and agreements. The unique identifier used across the federal government changed from the DUNS number to a unique entity ID, so the UEI. And to receive your UEI, you would just go to sam.gov and register there. And I'm sure if you've ever filled out a grant or maybe a loan or something, you probably have this UEI. Just log into sam.gov and double check. And we just ask that you provide that in the application. If you don't know it, that's fine. We can assist you with also receiving that. Okay, and then where can I find detailed explanations of the blueprint and key activities? Like I've said, GIFA has provided an application guidance document posted on our website and posted on the application homepage itself. And again, it's a really great resource for details and extensive blueprint explanations and key activities and all that. And then how long will the application take to fill out? So we don't want to scare anyone away. The application for priority communities is really only 4 narrative questions, and for general communities, it's 5. So it's a really short application process. It's maybe a paragraph or 2 for each question. We're not asking for much. We're just really asking to select a blueprint, explain why you're interested, and maybe some benefits you're hoping to receive from the blueprint. And we wanted to make this application like as simple as possible because we want to get the money to these communities, and we don't think there should be many barriers in the application. But again, we're expecting that to maybe be 1 to 2 hours to fill out. And again, we're encouraging a paragraph or 2 response to each question. Okay, so I'm going to go through the application itself. And so when you go to our GIFA website, so gifa.georgia.gov, and click through energy resources, you'll see the energy efficiency and conservation tab. And then from there, you will see a link that says, here's the EECBG application. So when you click on that link, it'll take you to a quick base page. And so this home landing page will be where it takes you. So you'll get the greeting, and then you'll see to apply for the EECBG funding, click this link below. Again, the application will not be saved. It will be automatically submitted. So we really emphasize that you use these templates that we've provided just to review the questions before. I know that personally for me, it's easier to draft a response and then just copy and paste it. So we really emphasize that. And then as well, you have my contact information, and then you also have our technical assistance contact information. And then if you look to the right of the page, those are the documents that I'm highly emphasizing. We've got the application guidance document, and then we've got the 2 sample applications. And the questions within these templates or sample applications are the exact questions that are in the application. So we're not trying to trick you or anything. We're just trying to make it easier for you guys. Okay, so then when you click, I'll go back. When you click on that apply for new application button, this will be the page that it takes you to. So you'll just put in your basic information, community name, point of contact, your title, an email, and that's where community UEI is requested. Again, it's not required at this moment. If you happen to know it, if you can go get it, that would be ideal, but no stress if you can't. And then a phone number, and then it asks you if you're located within one of the priority communities. So you'll select yes or no, and then the blueprint and funding amount you're requesting. And then at the bottom, it says additional application files. And I just want to emphasize that that is not a requirement. There is no need to submit a letter of support. There's no need to submit additional documents. That's just kind of, I wanted to add it there just in case communities wanted to provide some metrics or some reporting that they've found. It really can be for any files, but just know that it's really not required, and don't stress about that as well. You do not need any outside resources or outside application or outside documents to submit your application. And then once you answer those questions, you'll be taken to your narrative questions. And so this is where we ask that you write your response, copy and paste from the template over. And there's, like I said, 4 questions for the priority communities. And then for the general application narrative, there's 5 questions. So nothing crazy, just as much detail as you want to provide, as you can provide. We're looking for a paragraph to 2. And then once you submit your application, you'll receive a thank you for submitting page, and that will be it. Okay, and then this is the part where I'm gonna transition over to Nathan. If you're ready, I want to emphasize again that we're partnering with Southbase to provide free technical assistance. So we highly encourage everyone to reach out to Nathan and his team and really utilize them, because they've got some really great assistance opportunities that they can assist with. So I'm going to let Nathan talk about those, and I'll go through the PowerPoint.
Thank you. Yeah, Southbase is here to help. We've talked to a number of communities at this point and helped with blueprint selection. We've provided some guidance, especially some questions around the energy planning blueprint. And a lot of our advice has actually been to consider the energy audit and building upgrades. There's some overlap in the key activities, but the things that you can do with the energy upgrade one, blueprint 2A, some really good, nice, tangible things that can benefit communities there. So we've done some workshops. We can provide some workshops on helping you with figuring out a budget, doing program design, community engagement. We're available from a hotline standpoint. You can email me. We're happy to have a call with you. We're happy to have a call with you and your community members to talk about what the options are and what you can do with this funding. Within the Blueprint 2A, you can do an energy audit. Southbase is able to do a quick kind of napkin, back of the napkin assessment to see, you know, what do you want to do? How much might that cost? Whether that be for solar or whether that might be for a lighting upgrade or anything along those lines. We can give you some guidance on benchmarking. Through this process, we can help you with bid support and making sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck, and also aligning with the requirements from Build America, Buy America, and Davis-Bacon, and those types of elements. Stakeholder presentations to your community, EV charger support selection and incentive support. If you wanted to do anything on the workforce front, we can help with curriculum development and choosing the different programs that are out there and helping identify what resources exist to extend the funding as much as possible. As I was saying, PV selection and solar, and helping with a quick little assessment to see whether solar is good for a building you might have in mind or a location that you might have in mind. And what cost might be if you're thinking about that type of an investment. And then down the road, as you're looking at engaging with your communities, if you need any help with physical or digital marketing assets, outreach support, Justice 40 community mapping and reviewing elements of that, anything along those lines. And then ultimately, we're also available to help with the application review. If you wanted us to take a quick look at your application draft and provide any feedback to ways that you can make it compelling, or if there's any kind of questions we have about alignment between the blueprint and the key activities in the blueprint and what you want to do, we're happy to help on any of those fronts. So my contact information is listed there. The things that we've worked on so far with communities has been those solar energy assessments. So we've looked at about how much solar it would take to power a pump house. We've looked at solar for a community center and provided some questions and some guidance along those fronts. But I do want to emphasize that the two blueprints that seem to have pretty good traction behind them, they have nice tangible outcomes, are that two-way, the energy efficiency one with energy audits and building upgrades, and then the EV charger support. You can do EV charger support, you can do EV fleet work. There's a wide range of activities under the EV blueprint as well. So those two have had some really good outcomes identified with the work that we've done so far. And as I said, happy to do discussions. We can do a virtual walkthrough of your building. Depending on location, we can do an in-person walkthrough and just get a sense of what you're trying to do, what you want to achieve, and what the funding can help you do with that.
Awesome. Yeah, and I just want to emphasize that Nathan made a good point that Southface can really assist with a lot of the beginning stages of a lot of these blueprints. So really lean on them, because you don't really, like, I would hate to see this money wasted on something that Southface could have done for free. And so just want to reiterate that use the money wisely if you do apply, because it's not a lot of money, but you could really spend it in a smart way and not waste it on just like beginning assessment stages and things like that. And again, Southface can really help with your application prior to submitting. So if you need someone to look over, maybe review, maybe just confirm that your program design or project design is feasible and something that's obtainable, definitely send it over to Southface and Nathan can assist with that. And again, I just want to reiterate that the application deadline has been extended to March 15th. Not a long application, so we didn't give that much time, but we did extend it for those that needed it. And then I think that wraps up our presentation. So if there's any questions at this point, me, Nathan, any of our other resources are happy to answer them. Miracle, are there any questions in the chat?
Hey, everybody. Yeah, feel free to come off your mic if you do have a direct question, or you can put it in the chat. But Kelly, she did answer a question already.
Awesome.
This is Felicia, HBCU Green Fund. Is there a way for us to learn of the priority communities that have not engaged with you?
I can talk privately with you about that. I have done a lot of direct outreach to these communities. So for the most part, I've been able to contact or speak to someone within all these communities. But I do understand that they are small offices and things like that. So I would love some more assistance with outreach. Love to get these communities writing an application and submitting one. So Felicia, if you want to take my email and maybe email me, we can speak some more about some outreach.
Will do.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else want to come off their mic for questions, concerns for Leah, Nathan?
Another question for communities. For example, I'm based in Clayton County, which is not on the priority list,
Mhm.
but I'm not sure the county is moving with any allocation they have received. So, separately, how do we follow that up? 'Cause
Are you
that'll
talking
be the,
about a direct allocation?
yes.
So Clayton County received a direct allocation.
Well, I'm
Um,
assuming they did.
I can look actually.
They did.
They did. Okay, yeah, I'm on the list right now. You can also reach out to me about that and I can contact, I can figure out who their contact is there. If you happen to know of someone there and want to give them my email as well, they might, I'm not sure how DOE announced to these communities, but I can definitely put you in assistance with the DOE project manager and help there. Because I know that their applications are due in April. So they have a little time, but I'd love
Yes.
to get the ball rolling.
Yes, so just FYI,
Mhm.
additional synergy. So HBCU, we've received some resources for outreach in this arena. We
Okay.
had, last week, we had a federal agency convening for Clayton County. So we brought in, I think there were 8 mayors, county officials, and others, and we had 8 federal agencies. So that's not a formula for action, but we might be able to partner with Southface and Jiva to host a more targeted convening, probably next month if APSA do in April. And I know we can do Clayton, and then you guys might pull Nathan. Maybe I'll circle back with you and see how we get them moving.
Yeah, would love to partner. Sounds great. Are there any other questions or anything like that?
No questions in the chat.
Okay. Well, thank you guys, and we'll be ending a little early. And again, this webinar will be posted on our website. And if you want to go back, we also have a webinar 1, which provides a little more detail into the blueprints and key activities there. That is also posted on our website. But if no one else has any questions, I will give you back 20 minutes of your Friday and have a good weekend. And thank you guys so much for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you.